Welcome back to the deep dive. So you've taken the plunge. You've invested serious time, serious money into a proper home espresso setup. We're talking a high-end machine, a dedicated burr grinder, and yet...
And yet you're still staring at shots that are all over the place.
Exactly. Sometimes it's this beautiful velvety shot, and the next it's a thin, watery, sour disaster. You've just run headlong into the process that we call dialing in.
That's the wall. It really is. It's the wall most dedicated home enthusiasts hit. They master the hardware, but they haven't quite mastered the software.
Right.
So our goal today, looking at the sources you sent over, is not just to talk about making coffee. We're going to treat the espresso machine like the high-precision instrument it is. We're framing this entirely as an engineering problem.
I like that. So we're trading the apron for the slide rule.
Exactly. You are the chief engineer of your own high-performance extraction system. We need to stop seeing the coffee bean as just coffee and start seeing it as, high-quality fuel.
And dialing in is calibrating the engine.
It's making sure the engine timing, the pressure, the flow, all of it is absolutely optimized for that specific fuel. Our mission here is to give you a clear, repeatable framework, 3 pillars, so you can move from frustrating guesswork to, predictive, consistent engineering.
And the core concept of that framework, which the sources stress over and over, is that it's iterative.
Absolutely. It's the precise scientific adjustment of variables, your dose, your yield, and your grind size, to get that optimal flavor, and crucially, that first attempt, the one that tastes awful.
Yeah.
That's not a failure. It is merely the most important data point you could possibly collect. It tells you exactly where to adjust next.
Okay, so let's start with consistency. If we're building a repeatable process, we have to start somewhere consistent. That brings us straight to pillar 1, locking down the input.
Pillar 1 is the dose. This is the precise weight of your dry coffee grounds measured in grams that you put into your portafilter basket. This is the variable that you have to set first, and then it becomes your immovable control variable.
So why is locking this down so crucial? I mean, isn't just scooping full good enough?
No. If you don't control the input, you can't possibly isolate the cause of any output variation.
I see.
Think of it less like scooping and more like chemistry. If your input mass is unstable, you will never know what created the success or the failure of your shot. The consensus starting point for most double baskets is 18 grams.
And the sources are absolutely emphatic on this point. A precision scale, one capable of measuring to 0.1 gram accuracy, is completely non-negotiable.
It truly isn't overkill, and here's why. That variance of just 1 gram or even half a gram drastically changes the density of your coffee puck.
Okay.
And density determines resistance. Changing the dose by a gram changes the height of the coffee bed, affecting how much surface area and friction the water encounters. If you're imprecise here, you've ruined the foundation of the entire process. You're going to get chaotic flow rates.
So that brings us to the first core rule of this scientific method. You lock that dose in. If we establish 18 grams as our baseline, we're committing to not changing that number at the same time we change the grind setting.
That is the single greatest error a learner can make. I mean, if you're struggling with a fast shot and you simultaneously increase the dose and make the grind finer,
and the next shot is perfect,
you've ruined your learning opportunity. You'll never know which of those 2 changes actually solved the problem. So lock in 18 grams, commit to it, and do not touch it while you troubleshoot the other pillars.
Excellent. So 18 grams of dry coffee is our fixed input. Now we move on to pillar 2, defining the output. This is the yield. We need to measure the resulting liquid espresso, and once again, weight is king for accuracy. You have to forget those little volume lines on the side of a shot glass.
Absolutely. Those volume measures they're basically useless because crema is air, and it affects volume significantly but not mass. You must weigh the liquid. We are aiming for the standard balance target, a 1-to-2 ratio. So with an 18-gram dose, that means our target yield is 36 grams of liquid espresso in the cup.
And this is where the deep dive into the source material gets fascinating, because it explains why 1-to-2 is the standard. It's all about sequential chemistry. What exactly is coming out of the puck and when?
The extraction process is not uniform at all. It's a dissolving sequence. The compounds that dissolve fastest are the smallest, most water-soluble ones.
Which are?
Primarily the acidic compounds and organic salts.
So that very first bit of liquid, say the first 10 or 12 grams, that's highly concentrated with those sharp flavors.
Correct. If you cut the shot short, say you stop at 20 grams, you have pulled almost nothing but acid and salt. It's going to be overwhelmingly sour, maybe even metallic, and just deeply unbalanced. That's a severe under-extraction.
But as the shot keeps running, the water starts dissolving the slightly less soluble compounds.
And that's the sweet spot.
The good stuff.
That's the win. The middle 15 to 20 grams contain the desirable sugars, the melanoidins, and all the compounds responsible for body and mouthfeel. This is the heart of the espresso.
Okay. And then finally, as the water continues to push through the puck, what comes out last?
The last compounds to be extracted are the least soluble. These are often fibrous materials, higher molecular weight polyphenols. So the final 10 grams or so, they introduce significant bitterness and that drying mouthfeel known as astringency.
So if you let the shot run too long, say you pull 50 or 60 grams, you've just diluted all that sweet middle part and flooded the cup with bitter compounds.
Precisely. You get a thin, bitter, sometimes harsh flavor that roasters describe as tasting like ash or charcoal, and it literally feels dry on your tongue because of the tannins. That 1-to-2 ratio, 36 grams, is designed to capture all the sweetness and just enough of the bitterness to provide balance and structure.
So that makes the yield our target definition. We aim for 36 grams for that optimal chemical balance.
It's the optimal starting definition. Now, if you're using a very dark roast, you might find 1-to-2 a bit aggressive. Maybe you tighten it to 1 to 1.8 to avoid bitterness.
Right.
And conversely, with a very bright light roast, you might extend it to 1 to 2.2 to pull out more body. But until you achieve consistency at 1-to-2, that has to be your fixed target.
Excellent. So 18 grams in, 36 grams out. That leaves us with the third and really the most powerful variable, the control knob for the entire process. Pillar 3.
The speed of extraction.
Which is controlled solely by the grind size.
Yes, the grind size dictates the physical constraints the water faces. Is the resistance high or is it low? That resistance, combined with the fixed pressure of your machine, dictates our primary feedback indicator, time.
So we have the dose and the yield set.
Now we hit the pump.
Yeah.
And we are aiming for that 36 grams to land in the cup within a very tight target time window. Specifically, 25 to 35 seconds from the moment the pump activates. This is our optimal flow range.
Okay, let's troubleshoot. Scenario A. The shot runs way too fast. It's gushing out.
Right. So you hit 36 grams in, 15 seconds? Maybe 20. The water has just rushed through. The coffee is severely under-extracted.
Meaning the grind is too coarse.
The grind is too coarse, the gaps between the particles are too large, and the water didn't spend enough time dissolving those crucial sugars we were just talking about.
And you can taste it, right? It's sour, metallic, weak, watery. The crema looks thin and just vanishes instantly. What's the practical step-by-step fix?
Your solution is to increase resistance. You have to make the grind finer. And this isn't a subtle change at first. You need to adjust your grinder tighter until the grounds start to resemble, say, powdered sugar, not table salt.
And you have to purge the grinder first.
Oh, always. Wipe out the few grams of old grounds left in there, pull a new shot with your fixed 18-gram dose, and measure the time again.
How long before we know if the adjustment was enough?
The change should be immediate on the very next shot. If you move the grinder, say, 5 microsteps finer, and your shot time only went from 15 seconds to 18 seconds, you need to be bolder. Keep moving finer until you break into that 25 to 35 second window.
Okay, now for scenario B, the dreaded slow shot. It's just dripping like syrup, struggling to even come out.
Yeah, if the water is facing way too much resistance, taking 45 seconds, 50 seconds, sometimes it even stalls, your coffee is over-extracted.
The grind is too fine.
The grind is way too fine, packing the puck too tightly. The water is forced to spend far too much contact time with the coffee bed, and it's dissolving all those late-stage, bitter, astringent compounds we want to avoid.
And the taste here is the complete opposite of sour. It's
Yeah.
just intense, bitter, and you get that tongue-drying, harsh, ashy quality we mentioned.
The fix is to move your grinder coarser. You have to open up those spaces between the particles to let the water breathe a bit, speed up the extraction. And again, purge the grinder, pull a new 18-grab shot aiming for 36G, and measure your time. You're just trying to find that sweet spot where the resistance perfectly balances the machine's pressure.
So we've established these quantitative guide rails, 18 gram in, 36G out, in 25 to 35 seconds.
Yeah.
But what if you've hit 30 seconds exactly, and yet the shot still tastes a little sharp, or maybe just a bit thin?
Right.
That's where the quantitative work stops and the qualitative sensory analysis loop begins.
Correct. The numbers get you into the ballpark, but at
Yeah.
the end of the day, your taste buds are the final, non-negotiable quality control check. If you hit 30 seconds and you're still tasting too much sourness, you haven't failed. It just means that specific roast or that bean origin might actually prefer a longer extraction time.
So maybe 32 or 33 seconds.
Exactly. To pull out more of those desirable mid-range sugars, so you tweak the grind slightly finer to extend the time, and you taste again.
And conversely, if your 30-second shot is a little too bitter, you might coarsen the grind just a hair to drop the time down to, say, 27 seconds, pulling less of those late-stage compounds.
The target time is flexible within that 25-35-second window, and it's based entirely on the specific bean and your palate. It's the ultimate iterative loop.
But there is a factor that can ruin all your careful work, even if your numbers are perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Uneven distribution. We have to talk about the WDT tool and the problem of channeling.
We do.
I know a lot of home users resist this step. It adds time, it can be messy, but the sources are so clear that the vice distribution technique is absolutely crucial for consistency. So what is channeling, and how does WDT prevent it?
Channeling is the nemesis of espresso consistency. When your grounds are clumped, which happens inevitably coming out of a grinder, or they're unevenly distributed when you tamp, the pressurized water finds the path of least resistance. It just blasts through those gaps or low-density spots.
And how does that actually look?
Well, if you use a bottomless portafilter, you see it plain as day. It's a stream of water that suddenly gushes or squirts out of one spot, while the rest of the coffee bed is just dripping slowly.
So one part is over-extracted and the rest is under-extracted.
And you get this horrible mix of sour and bitter in the cup. The overall flow rate might say 30 seconds, but the flavor is ruined by that internal chaos.
So the WDT tool, which is basically a cluster of thin wires, it solves this by systematically breaking up every microclump and distributing the grounds perfectly evenly before you tamp.
It forces perfect uniformity. It creates a homogeneous, uniform resistance across the entire coffee puck, and that ensures even saturation, even flow, and a truly balanced flavor extraction.
And speaking of uniformity, we have to address the factors that change daily, even if you use the same grinder setting. Let's talk about thermal stability and bean freshness.
Excellence is a daily calibration, and temperature is key. If you pull a shot through a cold portafilter, that cold metal instantly drops the extraction temperature. That leads to under-extraction and sourness, even if your time is perfect.
So preheating is not optional. You have to run a blank shot of hot water through the portafilter and into the cup before you even start.
Absolutely. Preheat the portafilter, preheat the cup. You need the entire system at a stable, high temperature. And beyond temperature, the condition of your beans is the second variable that changes, literally day to day.
We're talking about freshness, right? Specifically the CO2.
Yes. Beans are constantly off-gassing carbon dioxide after they're roasted, and we want that CO2 in the puck because it helps slow down the water flow and it contributes to the crema.
Right.
But as beans age, especially beyond 4 weeks from the roast date, they off-gas less and less. Less CO2 means less resistance.
So a grinder setting that worked perfectly on Monday when the beans were 2 weeks old might run fast by Friday.
Exactly. You may have to gradually adjust your grind slightly finer as the bag ages, just to maintain that same 30-second shot time. And then there's the big one, humidity. If it's a high humidity day, your coffee absorbs moisture from the air, swelling the particles and increasing resistance.
So on a humid morning, you could walk into the kitchen and find that yesterday's perfect setting is now running slow.
Which means you have to be prepared to adjust your grinder marginally coarser every single morning. This is why you cannot set your grind and forget it for a week. The calibration has to be dynamic.
Okay, so to synthesize this entire deep dive, we have 3 quantitative pillars for dialing in, followed by this crucial qualitative loop. Pillar 1 is locking in your input, the dose, non-negotiably weighed, typically 18 grams.
Pillar 2 is defining your output, the yield. That's the 1-to-2 ratio, or 36 grams, balancing those early acidic compounds with the sweet middle and just enough bitterness for structure.
And Pillar 3 is controlling the crucial feedback indicator, time, by adjusting your most powerful tool, grind size. You're targeting that 25 to 35-second extraction window, constantly adjusting finer if you run fast.
And coarser if you run slow. Master those 3 variables and commit to the process of distribution using WDT, thermal stability, and fresh beans, and you eliminate inconsistency.
And always, always remember the core lesson of engineering control. Never, ever change more than one variable at a time.
Never.
Change the grind, see what happens. Change the dose, see what happens. Changing both at the same time just destroys your ability to learn the causality.
Keep a simple log. Note your successful settings dose, yield, time, and grind setting for every new bag of beans you get. That documented consistency is your pathway to quality.
So you've done it. You've hit 18 grams in, 36 grams out, 30 seconds on the clock, and the shot tastes incredible. You've achieved balance. What's the next deep dive for the learner?
The next step is moving beyond just balance to flavor maximization. The goal now is to explore how different ratios, changing the yield while keeping the dose and grind constant, can manipulate the flavor profile and highlight the unique characteristics of that bean. So instead of adhering strictly to 1:2, try tightening the yield down to 1:1.5 for that incredibly rich ristretto experience, or maybe extend it slightly to 1:2.5. By making that single adjustment to the yield, you are selectively emphasizing different chemical compounds, and that will unlock the hidden depth and unique potential of the bean's origin profile. Try it, and you'll find that 1:2 is really just the beginning.